in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the 2020 General Assembly of the European Digital SME Alliance. I'm Sebastiano Toffaletti, Secretary General. I'm happy to be with you today to moderate this event. The event is divided into three parts. The first part, which is public mode. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the 2020. We had a slight technical problem to start with. We're back again. So the event, as I said, is divided into three parts. First part is a public, and the other two parts are reserved to members. First part will be from 9 to 10, and we will be talking with President Oliver Grün and Commission Werner Stengg about sustainable digitalization. Let me just also thank everyone who participated yesterday in the blockchain summit of Digital SME, the 2020 blockchain summit. Many of the participants of yesterday are certainly with us also today. A very well attended event about the blockchain. We heard from business leaders and from policymakers what their thoughts and ideas on blockchain are. Today, the topic is, I would say, much broader because we speak about the concept of sustainable digitalization. So how to make the digital transformation sustainable in an economic sense, that it makes sense for Europe, for our companies, and also it makes sense for environment. So really a broad sustainability concept that we want to bring to the public debate. Without further indulgence, let me introduce the keynote of today, Oliver Grün. Dr. Grün is president of the European Digital SME Alliance. He is, a German entrepreneur in the IT business. He has a mid-sized company which is active in Germany and also in other countries, quite successful. He is the president of BITMI, the German Federation of Small Businesses, small and medium-sized businesses in the IT sector, which alone represents thousands of companies in Germany. And since 5 years, he is the president of the European Digital SME Alliance. Oliver, the floor is yours. You have some slides. You will speak about sustainable digitalization. Very welcome to this General Assembly.
Yes, Sebastiano, thank you very much. And good morning, ladies and gentlemen. A warm welcome also from me, of course. It's a pleasure to see so many participants to discuss this very important issue for Europe. We are talking about the sustainable digitalization and how it will strengthen Europe's digital sovereignty if we do everything right. Sustainable digitalization. So what do we mean by this term? And why is it so important for Europe? Let me start with digitalization, a term which was recently described by Politico. You all know Politico as a cumbersome word Germans use when they speak about the digital revolution. Well, it might be cumbersome, but its meaning is more concrete, I think, than the broad term digital revolution. Of course, there are many definitions of digitalization. So I am one of these Germans, and I give you my definition in a short term. Digitalization of the economy consists, I think, of two steps. The first step is digital optimization. The second is digital transformation. The first step, the optimization of business processes, everything is automated. In the end, in Germany, the robots build the cars. The Germans are good at this first step, but unfortunately, this is only the first step. We have a second step, and in the second step, we Germans and we Europeans, unlike the USA and China, are having an extremely difficult time, I think, the digital transformation. For me, that means inventing new business models that can be based on classic business models or that can replace them. For my example with cars, this means that we don't need cars anymore. We need mobility. And of course, we need new business models to go with it. Our goal to achieve the successful twin transition to a green and digital European economy means to make both steps I mentioned of digitalization sustainable. And for me, the main goal is to hold the digital sovereignty, at least in the B2B economy in Europe. So our goals must be based on three pillars. We think first, the sustainable digitalization is a long-term process of symbiotic B2B relationships that turn non-digital businesses into digital frontrunners. Second pillar, a strong and innovative digital sector supported by openness and circular economy models also brings the green technology needed to fight against climate change. And thirdly, of course, last but not least, we need innovation enabling policy and regulation. Well, okay. So this about the three pillars I want to talk about with you. Here they are in a written foil. So I will start with the first pillar, the long-term B2B relationships. And to understand what we mean with long-term B2B relationships, it might be useful to contrast this process with its opposite, short-term B2B relationships. So imagine a traditional brick and mortar business which uses its COVID-19 liquidity support, let's say, to purchase a Zoom subscription. Wow, so now they are digital. Of course, they are not digital at all. It is only the digitalization of communication, and it is not a European-driven tool. So if they use some other tools, perhaps they also make the digitalization of the collaboration. So communication and collaboration, perhaps. But classical SME business, like my traditional brick and mortar business, stop their real digital future projects due to COVID-19. This also shows some studies right now. So because in crisis times, the European SMEs save money, they stop investing in real innovations in the future. So I think COVID is only a part turbo in digitalization, only for communication and collaboration, but not for the real digital business models. So my brick and mortar company has effectively transformed itself, let's say, from a non-digital company to a minimal skilled end of user of other companies' digital products. Okay, so this short-term process is not enough. What should we do? So first of all, I think we should use European Zooms, so not Zoom, or collaboration tools which are developed and, of course, text in Europe. So EduDip is one example from Germany, a video conferencing tool, or Bliss is another video conferencing tool. So we have a lot of video conferencing and collaboration tools which are developed in Europe. The economy should use these tools, but also the administration and public authorities, like the Commission, of course, could lead the way and use such tools made in Europe. So I think more confidence in our own system ability to produce digital tools are very important, because we can do. So, and secondly, if we use our own tools, it's a first step. But secondly, I think we must support the backbone of our wealth. This is the SME industry, to invent and implement new business models in a European way, let's say in a systematical way. And there are some good approaches in our association, European Digital SME Alliance, We are planning in Germany a so-called new business factory in Germany, which really helps SMEs. And if we look to the, for instance, to the market of software for enterprises in the enterprise resource planning market, it is also apparent that the majority of this market, this market for SME companies, is still dominated by also specialized medium-sized software companies. So there are many small companies, but together they are very strong. And in the B2B environment for ERP software, they are stronger than Salesforce or Microsoft. So these European software solutions must be used by, for instance, medium-sized companies. Because, of course, the manufacturers of these software companies are our members, the IT SME companies, and they come from Europe, and of course they pay their taxes, and of course they will also support the Green Deal. So altogether, we have a lot of reasons to do it. So we must not sell ourselves further because it's not, we don't need to do this. So how to foster this? I think we can foster this by real SME-driven clusters, not only academic-driven clusters like often. So we built one of these in Aachen. It's called the Archan Digital Hub. So it is economy driven by SMEs. We built a real digital coalition with the city administration, with universities, and with the church also, and the enabler of digitalization. So here I have a picture for this, because we are also in a church, as you see. So, and we have in our digital hub, we have the enabler of digitalization. The enabler of digitalization are the small and medium enterprises of the IT industry, and of course the startups. And on the other hand, we have the user of digitalization, which are the industry and the SME outside of the digital industry. So our only goal in the digital hub is to bring digitalization to the region. So we started it 3 years ago, and now we have 370 companies, about 190 startups, and the rest established companies as members. Only in Aachen, we have revenues from more than 1 million euro, and we have funded more than 50 million euros for digital ideas of startups and IT SMEs. And we made hundreds of matchings between the, let's say, the new enabler and the established user of digitalization. So I think we need sustainable innovation, and this is not the ivory tower, but this is on the real field of economy. And so we need digital companies also in Europe that want to accompany their innovations for a long time and not just play on exit as in Silicon Valley. So if we make a summarize, then I think by engaging this long-term symbiotic B2B relationships, 3 things will happen. First, a traditional European SME will be redesigned its business model, and it is future-proofing itself and creating skills and jobs in its community. Secondly, a European digital business is strengthened and deepens its expertise in another field. And thirdly, of course, Europe benefits from this digital transformation. So this is what we call a sustainable B2B digitalization. So now I will go further on to the second pillar of the sustainable digitalization, which is the greener technologies and circular economy. Well, greener technologies is where the environmental aspect of the current digital revolution come in, as Sebastiano mentioned before. So the ICT sector will have produced 2 gigatons of greenhouse gas emissions by the end of 2020. Okay, that's 2% of total emissions, like the entire aviation sector. So this sounds okay. But I have bad news for you. So this percentage is expected to increase to over 14% by 2040. The biggest share of ICT emissions today, for instance, is produced by one of the most disruptive inventions of the last 20 years, the smartphone. We all use it. So smartphones shows perfectly how ICT can both be a contributing factor on the one hand and a mitigating factor for climate change on the other hand. Just like smartphones are using a big share of electricity produced, they enable us to communicate at lightning speed. Technology, if used sustainable, is an indispensable tool in the global fight against climate change. Okay, modern software and hardware can dramatically reduce resource use and pollution by making processes faster and more efficient, or by replacing physical supply chains altogether, as in the case of additive manufacturing, so-called 3D printing. Think about the resources saved by replacing a physical supply chain where in some cases thousands of individual parts are produced physically in different parts of the world, then shipped around the globe to assemble, then shipped again to their consumer market destination. If all but the last steps of this process are digitalized, parts can still be designed in different areas of the world. But instead of shipping them individually, only the print substance has to be shipped to the final destination. So I think there are a lot of chances. And a study by the Global E-Sustainability Initiative from 2015 predicts that while being responsible for 2 gigatons of annual emissions, as mentioned before, the ICT sector and ICT solutions have the potential to save 12 gigatons, 6 times more, 12 gigatons of annual emissions across the sectors by 2030. Okay, here's again some written text, what I've said. And now I will come to one moment. So here I'm back where I was. So the second thing in this pillar is the circular economy. I want to come to the circular economy. At the same time, the digital economy of the future has to be built on circular economy models. I think this is very important because one of the examples in which ICT can become more circular is through the repairability and reuse of devices. Of course, repairing hardware is sustainable in 3 major ways. First, environmentally, since it combats the throwaway economy. Secondly, economically, by enabling a repairing sector which mainly consists of small businesses. And thirdly, societally, since it creates jobs and helps people save money. To be able to repair many types of smart hardware today, the repairing business will need access to the software and data of the devices, of course. Besides repairability, ICT solutions can contribute to building a circular economy with innovative ICT systems that can track products and devices. So we must enable things like blockchain technology, facilitating their reuse and recycling. The main requirement for more circulation economy is hardware and software openness. Very important. Openness and access to data allow tech-savvy SMEs and startups to innovate on top of the existing solutions. Very important. Increasing increasing efficiency and reducing resource use. For instance, if the energy consumption data collected by smart home systems is accessible, smaller ICT companies and startups can compete with the big players in providing the most energy efficient software. This would be an example of openness of software and devices data. So interoperability matters and is very, very important goal. Open hardware, on the other hand, means that a device is not locked in to be used only with one proprietary software. Think about Wi-Fi routers. Whenever you change your home internet contract, they give you a new router that does the same thing as the old one. Because the device is locked in to work only with one telecom operator. Hardware openness all allows different software providers to compete for the best solutions to implement on a device, which can also reduce electronics waste. So altogether, here we have a summarize now again about the pillar greener technologies and circular economy. So we can make the processes more efficient through automation by completely replacing physical supply chains and by accelerating and maximizing the effects of environmental measures. Okay, so last but not least, I will talk about the third pillar, innovation enabling policy and regulation. So I think both of the former pillars of sustainable digitalization, the long-term B2B relationships and digital ecosystems as well. So this is my daughter. Can you please leave the room? Thank you. So I'm in my home office and now you have seen my daughter. So both of the pillars of sustainable digitalization, the long-term B2B relationships and the digital ecosystems as well as green technologies and circular economy models depend on a smart and innovation enabling policy and regulation framework. So this is where we as European Digital SME Alliance work with policymakers on the European level like Mr. Stengg and many others who joined today to raise awareness about the importance of rule making that, very important, enables our innovative SMEs and startups. Take repairability, for example, which I mentioned before as a precondition for a more circular economy. In order to enable a good after-sales market, including repairs of computers and smartphones, businesses need the right to repair products which can be granted to them by European policymakers. If they don't have the right to repair, their business models does not work, and they risk being liable in case of malfunctions and cyber incidents. Other questions include rules for wireless devices, for platform regulations, product safety and liability, and many more. These issues require careful consideration by policymakers. Policy and regulation must foster a digital economy that builds on openness instead of locked-in priority ecosystems. European and national rules must address the real issues of holding back our economy and avoid, of course, anti-competitive behavior and tax evasion by tech giants. I think it is very, very important to make policy which enables to invent digital business models for SME companies. Okay, so let me conclude with this. I think sustainable digitalization is the path to Europe's digital sovereignty, at least in the B2B sector. We all know we have lost it in the B2C sector, the business to consumer sector right now. According to draft European Council conclusions, digital sovereignty is defined as the ability to define rules, make autonomous technology choices, and deploy strategical digital infrastructure. In the digital race of the future, which has been accelerated by the COVID-19 pandemic, Europe is lagging behind the US and China in many respects. We all know this. We have stricter privacy rules and more taxes on small businesses, which translates into more burdens and less access to data and investment. But we also have unique and strong societal values, which are indispensable in times of social media, big data, and artificial intelligence. To promote values like privacy, freedom of thought, and democracy in the digital age, Europe must be a strong source of innovation. Europe has unique values, and we also lead the world in many sectors of the economy. We must build on our strong SME economy to facilitate the digital transformation of our continent. We must enable this SME economy by providing smart rules and regulation that unleash their full innovative power also in digitalization. We must allow them to thrive and grow and provide digital skills to support their workforce. To achieve the digital sovereignty, we must digitalize sustainable for the people, but also for our planet. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Oliver. It's very good indeed to hear, being in Brussels and being a professional here, it's very good to hear people from the real world, our entrepreneurs like you, who take their own time. They are not paid by anyone to speak to people, to engage for the change in Europe, for our objectives as a society and as an economy. And you do this on a completely voluntary basis because you have your own business to run, you have your own employees to pay, and this is your job. So I'm very proud to be surrounded by members like yourself, Oliver, who really show with their own efforts what Europe is in terms of values and in terms of also efforts. But let me now give quickly the floor to the person who's going to be representing the European Commission today. I'm very happy to have Werner Stengg with us. He's a quite senior advisor in the cabinet of Vice President Vestager. Werner, you can probably switch on your camera, and because you have prepared a couple of points you want to share with us in reaction to what Oliver said, and that your intervention will indeed lead to a discussion with the other attendees and the audience. Yes, now I see Elena, but I would like to see Werner.
Yes. Hi, Sebastian. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah.
If you cannot switch on the camera, we can still hear you, which is already good.
Okay, because I cannot switch on the camera because on the desktop in the commission somehow the webinar did not work. So I switched on my iPhone, which where I cannot switch on my camera. So you will have to do with my voice, I'm afraid. But I mean, this is the new reality in those last 9 months, I think, when we were all struggling to find the right way to communicate. But well, here we are. Many thanks for inviting me and for giving me a chance to say a few words in response to what Mr. Grün has said. And I agree with many things that you said. Actually, it's hard to disagree with anything. Let me come from the Commission angle because, Sebastian, you referred to Oliver coming from the real world. So I come from the surreal world of policy making. But if we go back, I think there's quite some match between what we think and what the real world thinks, and that's comforting. If we already go back before COVID struck us all, and when we came out with our digital package in a way back in February, and some other policies, including industrial policy, SME policy, I think you will find virtually all of the elements that Oliver mentioned as well. I mean, we also said, we said we want to shape Europe's digital future. And well, that was meant as saying we want exactly the sustainable digitalization that you are referring to in your intervention, your papers. When we said shape, of course, already from the outset, we said we are not, just helplessly subjected to digital transformation, but rather we should make the best use of it. It's a technology, there are tools that we should use to the best of the interest of Europe, of our citizens, of our companies of all sizes, including SMEs, because we all know how much we depend on our SMEs and on the innovation potential, but also obviously as employers. So therefore, we want to make technology work for everybody. It has to be a purpose. And at the same time, values are extremely important for us. If we increasingly digitize all parts of our economy and society, we must make sure that our basic values are respected. And there are many of those, right? It ranges from fundamental rights and privacy, non-discrimination when it comes to AI. It includes fairness, that everybody has a chance to compete fairly on our markets, down to the social market economy to preserve the European model. So we want to shape technology in a way that has a purpose and preserves our values. You also mentioned technological sovereignty, which was already obviously discussed at the time and has become even more important as a result of COVID. So we said, yeah, of course, we need to ensure the integrity, the resilience of our data infrastructures, of our networks, of our communications, that we want to develop our own capacities in the technological field. We need cloud, we need data use, we need AI capabilities, we need computing powers, and of course, networks that support all of this. And that is not only here to become more autonomous in what we do, it also helps us, obviously, to insist that our values and rules are firmly embedded in all of this. Only if we are a strong player ourselves can we reasonably expect that our values will also gradually become global standards, if you want. And also, if you're just of technologies, then it's much harder to insist that you want certain principles to be obeyed than if you are a strong player yourself. The third element that we had, and that comes out very strongly also in your intervention, is that we need our frictionless single market also in the digital sphere. And nowadays, of course, everything is digital anyway. That has always been our strongest asset. And if we always complain that the Americans, the Chinese are bigger, faster, whatever, that's not necessary. We have such a vibrant industrial base, such a vibrant SME community. We have fantastic startups all the time. But somehow in the past, it seems we have never fully benefited from our core asset, the single market. So that needs to work. We need a fair and competitive economy. We need SMEs to be able to grow and scale up in Europe. We need to get a grip on excessive market power of some large digital players. We must reduce dependencies and so on and so forth. We must use digital to become more competitive using those technologies, digitizing everybody. And of course, we need consumers and users to trust that what is happening here is well regulated. And last but not least, of course, we have also a strong societal angle to what we do. We want to empower citizens. We want to give them more control. We want to preserve our democratic values, fundamental rights, and so on. And in that chapter already, we also said that becoming climate neutral is also an intrinsic part of that. And there we already have a strong link to the Green Deal, which also recognizes that digital is a big enabler to the Green Deal. Of course, first you need to get your own house in order. We must make sure that digital technologies, that their ecological footprint is reduced. We also need to make sure that devices can be repaired and reused and are not thrown out after a couple of months. But most importantly, still, we need to capitalize on this huge potential of digital technologies to make our world greener. And you have given some examples, and there's probably not one area in our economy where digital technologies intelligently used could not make a huge difference, could increase efficiencies, energy efficiencies, improve processes, reduce waste, up to some very high level things like, creating a digital twin of planet Earth, and to draw lessons from this. So the potential is practically unlimited. There was also, as much as the digital and the green strategies were combined, our industrial strategy and SME strategy actually say the same things. So I think we're all talking about a huge potential there, which however needs to be exploited. Now, COVID has confirmed all of this rather than the opposite, because sometimes you got the question, no, all that works is digital, so are you not too harsh? We're coming with your digital policies. On the contrary, I mean, we learned lots of lessons from COVID because, of course, we made a quantum leap forward in digitizing all parts of our economy and society. But we've also seen how important resilience is, and to sustain that, we need to make sure that even when things are difficult, as in the past few months, companies can still work, can still sell. And we saw, of course, in the last few months that selling in that case meant sell online. Many businesses that did not have any online presence or sales channels were forced to do that, and I'm sure they will continue doing that. Consumers need to be able to consume. Governments need to be able to continue providing services to businesses and to citizens. The economy and society overall needs to function. We come back to this technological sovereignty, which is not a protectionist term, but rather the ability to do what we have to do, even under certain difficult circumstances. And cybersecurity, of course, also plays in resilience here. But we also need to make sure that everybody can participate. We need to connect everybody. If you're an SME somewhere on the countryside in a remote place, we need good connectivity there for the SME to take part in this digital economy. We need the skills both for the consumer and citizen, but even more so for businesses. So the skills agenda, super important. But also the values, because the more we use technology, the more we depend on digital business and business models, the more important it is that our values are actually upheld and that our laws are respected. When, when products are being imported from China through platforms and don't meet our product standards and expose our consumers to unsafe products, to counterfeit products, what have you. I mean, this has to be defended, of course, that our law can be enforced, as much as we don't want fundamental rights to be affected when we use artificial intelligence. But also in the area of market power and competition, if more business uses and needs to use digital channels, it's even more important that we have fair competition on the markets, also with the digital champions. And we are working hard on that. And that is both if you want to compete with one of the digital gatekeeper platforms. If a brilliant idea is a startup in Europe and you want to compete with them, that must be possible. But also if you work with them and depend on them, you must not be discriminated when doing so. You must not be locked into particular solutions. So the market power field is super important more than ever. Digital markets must remain open and competitive also for smaller players to grow and scale up. Last remark, probably, as in every crisis, there's an opportunity. You've also seen that the willingness to spend money on the digital transformation and the digital green transformation has, of course, increased because everybody saw how powerful this is, both when it comes to community spending, the multi-annual program, the Digital Euro program for technologies, but also when it comes to this recovery and resilience facility that we have agreed with member states, and where it is clear and shared by everybody that a lot of that additional money must be used to promote the digital transition and the green transition, because that is our future, and we are borrowing money from the daughters that are behind our screens while we speak. We are lending money from the future generation, so we had better make the best use of that because they.
I think I've lost Werner for a second. Let's see if he can, if his connection holds.
I'm still here.
Yeah. Okay. Try again, please.
Which part did you not hear?
No, just the last 10 seconds.
Oh no, this was just that I stopped with the financing into those technologies and the opportunities that come with it. But then I said I will stop it here and rather discuss with the two of you what needs to be discussed.
Okay, thank you very much. I think it was a quite comprehensive introduction, and it's good to see that you really agree on what Oliver has come up with in terms of proposal for a sustainable digitalization. Oliver, you can react if you want to say anything, and then we have a few questions probably from the audience. I know there have been some members of the European Alliance who asked already to take the floor. So whichever you prefer, Oliver.
Yeah, of course. I just will make two short comments. So first of all, as Werner mentioned, yeah, I'm really in my main business. I'm a software entrepreneur, so I have a software company with almost 200 employees, and so I'm really from the practice, and I really want to say we compete with the big concerns like Microsoft. Microsoft Dynamics is our competitor very successfully. So we are market leader in Germany, for instance, for donation software. So Wikipedia Germany or Rotary Germany, and 1 billion euro of donations in Germany are processed through our software. So we are very successful, and a lot of other companies like my companies are also very successful in the B2B sector, and the B2B sector matters now. And not only the big platforms in the B2C sector, of course they are changing to B2B right now, but right now we still have the digital sovereignty in the B2B sector, but policy does not see this because it's a lot of small companies and you don't see the whole force we have together. So I think it's very, very important to see this and to bring good practices and to foster these kind of companies, because they can be the pacemaker of the digitalization of the whole backbone of our wealth, which is the SMEs. And secondly, I want to say that I think it's very important to find a balance in regulations. Please do not overregulate. We have a new study here in Germany, which is a little bit shocking for me. So this shows that 52% of all German SMEs say that the GDPR, the General Data Protection Regulations, prevents them from innovating. So this kind of thing scares me very much, because we know, if we really know the GDPR, we know it could be interpreted differently, also in an innovative way. But in Europe, it is interpreted very restrictively by Europeans. And on the other hand, we all know how is interpreted by the US and China corporations. And so this is really a second problem that we must find a balance and not to overregulate.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Oliver. I think, as I said, there are some colleagues from different countries I see that want to also to make a short remark or a question. I see we have, for instance, we have Amandine Lavaux from France. I see already on the screen quite a few people from different angles in Europe, and I'm happy we are really a pan-European organization here with our members all over. Amandine, you are also an entrepreneur in the IT sector in France, and you had an organization called Digital SME France. You wanted also to make a question or a remark, Amandine, please.
Yeah, hi. At the start of the pandemic in Europe, we attended a breakfast at the European Parliament with the European Digital SME Alliance, and we discussed the issue of European sovereignty in the digital domain. as the president of Digital SME France and CEO of CLPC, a company provided IT material to the other company, we notice how much we depend on international supply chain. We are in favor to competitive open markets, but Europe needs to strengthen its resilience in essential areas. It is important to strengthen and support digital SMEs so they can show their competence, their initiative potential, and conquer digital markets. We hope that Europe will support their aims with investments. Thank you.
Thank you, Amandine. So I think it's all about digital autonomy and digital potential for our own companies. Maybe Elena next. You're from Spain. You're in La Rioja, Elena, representing quite many. You work for the association. You're not an entrepreneur yourself, but your association represents is part of a larger network in Spain, representing really hundreds and hundreds of IT companies, not just in your region but in all Spain. So Elena, any comment you wanted to make?
Hello, everyone, and many thanks for inviting me. As you say, we represent in Arctic 95 SMEs, and also in Connecticut we represent 13 organizations, mostly are SMEs companies. I just want to make a little thought about digitalization. In Spain, we think that there is a circumstance as a country, and this is important to undertake in terms of digitalization, and also that good even prior to the sustainable digital transformation. And we consider that would be the first step, and this is a digital transformation itself. I mean, here a high percentage of companies in traditional and industrial sector are SMEs and self-employed, and they don't have enough resources or knowledge to consider digitalize their companies. From the ICT companies, we see that to achieve a basic digitalization, to encourage companies with incentive from government, from administration are required. This basic digitalization means help to companies that don't have something like an update website, or don't develop e-commerce, or don't have an update ERP. A company that wants to grow up, scale their competitiveness and digitalize needs to start with something as basic as this. And we consider it is not only the big companies or multinational or the university that only can help them. The ICT companies in Spain and in Europe, which are mostly SMEs, are the true providers of solution to them, for them, because they have the skills and the knowledge to do it, and also the proximity. We know their needs. And once that this first step is achieved, I think it is possible to go one step further and propose real sustainable digital transformation.
Yeah, thank you, Elena. I mean, you really care about the companies that are, they have not even started digitizing, you say, because some companies indeed don't even have a proper website, and don't do e-commerce, or they don't have an ERP. And these are basic needs. And before even starting considering a real digital transformation, we need to start somewhere. And I'm glad that we have a lot of companies, you have a lot of companies out there who are in the field and are providing these services to other SMEs. Maybe, yes, I see Andrei Clement from Romania, in Cluj. Andrei, yeah, Romania Cluj in particular is a very good area for software development. What is your take about this conversation?
Hello. First of all, hello everybody, and thank you for inviting me in this meeting. Yes, Cluj indeed is a hotbed, I would say, for software development. We have here in our city approximately 20,000 software developers. So it's quite a melting point from this point of view. To build on President Grün opening presentation, sustainability is not just about the environment. Although it might be the primary meaning, sustainability also refers to the way in which we prepare our legacy for the future generation. This inevitably includes technology. We have to avoid the pitfalls of making technology for the sake of technology or only for profit, and focus on adding value and improving the quality of life of people in a manner that values privacy, health, and the safety of everybody and everything alive. I cannot emphasize this enough. The process of digital transformation is not just about technology. It's much more about a change of mentality and business culture. Upskilling and digital skilling are part of this process. So we have to invest a lot in individuals and organizations. We also need to create synergies among all the stakeholders and decision makers that can, in their capacity, impact the way in which we adopt a technology. And the European Union needs to be the champion of this approach. We cannot expect it from others in the world. So it is more on our hands than anybody else's.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Clement. I think it's very good to see that Romania and Cluj in particular doesn't want to be, as you sometimes say, at the periphery of Europe. You really want to be at the center of this conversation, and you are really giving a lot of thoughts and ideas to make sure this discussion advances in the right direction. We have a few minutes left, and I see I have Fabio Massimo from Italy. I think you represent a couple of quite large organizations, CNA, and also the Italian Digital SME Alliance. Fabio, you're based in Milan. So Fabio, what was your comment on what we said this morning? Not sure Fabio can speak. Let me try with George.
Okay, now it's working.
Fabio, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
The audio was deactivated. Okay. Good morning, everybody. I would like to speak on behalf of the CNA, my association, and also on behalf of the Italian Digital SME Alliance. These two associations represent 10,000 SMEs, not just in digital sector, of course, but also in non-ICTs in the manufacturing sector. This morning, we heard that some important elements of sustainability digital transformation are software openness and hardware and the software disaggregation. When we speak about Europe's digital sovereignty, we should in fact talk about software sovereignty. In our opinion, if Europe wanted to be digitally sovereign, Europe needs to have a strong, independent, and high-quality ICT industry. So far, the European software industry is very fragmented. This is due not just to the size of our companies, typically smaller than their US and the Chinese competitors, but especially to the low level of integration and interoperability. Really, a lot can be done to support and to federate our sector. The European and national institutions must steer and help software industry towards more integration and more interoperability. Our association, together with the European Digital SME Alliance, call on the Europe to put software sovereignty at the center of this agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Fabio. Software sovereignty, I agree. It should be, one of our biggest goals. Before we close, I also have George Brajnarov from Bulgaria. I'm happy we have quite all the corners of Europe almost in here. You represent, you're also an entrepreneur yourself, and you represent Bascom, another quite important software developers association in your country, Bulgaria, George.
Yeah, good morning to everyone. In fact, we're coming from the same angle like Andre, the Southeast Europe. So we are quite close, like Bulgaria and Romania. I'm representing the Bulgarian Association of Software Companies. We're already 20 years old, and our association combines the real software companies which are doing business all around the world. More than 80% of our revenues are coming from export services. So we claim that we know quite well what is happening in the US, in Far East, and of course in Europe. And I fully agree with everything that Oliver presented at the beginning. I just have a couple of comments on the sustainable digitalization, which we see nowadays, even in our everyday business, how important is coming and how we are going from the top of the iceberg, which was just the digital conferencing, which we are doing at the moment also, to the full digitalization of the processes behind. That's very important change, which needs a really better collaboration between many players, especially on the European level, which we are not seeing it yet happening. And also we need a more focused education of the companies as a processes and the personals. However, this doesn't mean that the software companies by itself also don't have to change, because nowadays, the way the software is consumed is everywhere. So we have to go out from the serious, complex systems which are difficult to be used by the ordinary users. So working quite in a cooperative way and giving the final users different user experience, that's also part of the change of the software companies which are doing.
Yeah, thank you, George. Thank you, George. Maybe Oliver, before we conclude, you maybe want to conclude this session. Before that, there was also another question. I don't know if we can give the floor to my colleagues and give the floor to the audience. I had a question from, or a statement from Ona McNervy. Suppose she might be from Ireland. Ona, I don't know if you can activate your mic. Okay, I don't think it is.
Hi there.
It is. Yes,
hello?
Hi, Ona. Yes.
Hi, how are you? Yes.
Good.
No, I think that all your content this morning resonates very, very strongly. I think just from our side, so we're in the enterprise software space. We're a startup that's developing a digital workplace platform. We very much would come head to head with Microsoft when we go to deploy. So it's a massive undertaking, but one that we see as very much worth chasing because it's a massive global market. And I think there is room and there needs to be a presence of European companies that can enter the B2B enterprise space at a very much at a platform, at a holistic level, and that can start to edge out a market for them. And I think from our side, when we talk about support, very much would be welcome flagship pilot possibility. And you mentioned, for example, European institutions such as the European Commission. I think this kind of support to be able to have access to test pilot cases in major organizations would be so beneficial for us. So when we talk about support, it's not always that we're looking for financial support. It's support in terms of adoption and confidence and flagships and testimonials that could be very powerful for helping us to drive forward in the market. So that's really just all I wanted to say. Well, thanks very much for the content this morning. Very, very relevant and extremely interesting. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. I think you repeat an important point that President Grün made about the role of the public administration, not just to provide subsidies or grants or whatever, but really to be a purchaser of European products, European software, European tools, because and also Werner Stengg mentioned that. I think that the more our own administrations are big spenders, and if they invest in European solutions, they can help to create a better functioning European market for European solutions. Oliver, we are just finishing. You have maybe 30 seconds to close this session, and then we have to go to another reserve session for members.
Yes, okay. 30 seconds is very short for me, but okay. Many thanks to everybody for this interesting discussion. In every case, for me, it stays the main goal to hold the digital sovereignty in the sector of B2B. And it's not too late to do this, but everybody should wake up. And I think it's very important to have us as European Digital SME Alliance as partner, because we see in this panel here, we are really across whole Europe, and we can be the enabler of all this. And I think we should foster this together with the policy. So I'm very happy for this cooperation, and we should go on and be more and more strong.
Okay, I'm told we need to close, but I just wanted also to ask Werner Stengg if you wanted also to make a last remark after you heard from Oliver and from everyone.
You should do.
Yeah, 30 seconds. I could speak for many minutes now after all these interesting interventions. Many thanks for this. I've listened very carefully. Probably just final remark, what Andre said, we could not agree more that technology is not an end in itself, but we must make sure that what comes out makes our lives better, right? That we are better served, with better products, better services, better education, that the planet is greener, and all the good things it can do. And hopefully you and we all together will be able to ensure that European companies, small and large, can very much contribute to this. So many thanks for this. Very interesting, and goodbye.
Okay. Thank you very much, everyone who attended. Thank you, Werner. Thank you, Oliver, and everyone else. We will now close, and those who have received the invitation will continue in the second part, which is reserved to members of the Digital SME General Assembly. Thank you and goodbye.